In a watch world where we so often get caught up on movement specifications, case sizes or brand prestige, it's surprisingly rare to find a watch which requires none of these considerations. This is a watch which doesn't burden the buyer with a high price, nor claims of grandeur. Instead, it's a fun, affordable and high quality watch by a uniquely imaginative maker. Above all, this is a watch which makes me smile, and this is something which I'm very keen to rate very highly. Where racing-inspired chronographs are concerned, I'm of the opinion that at the moment some of the most interesting pieces are actually the most affordable. Zodiac produces the charming Grand Rally, and Autodromo continues to produce a delightfully made collection. However, the other brand which springs to my mind is not only the newest, but also the most affordable, and this is Roue. The history of Roue is a short one. Their first slew of models featured a barrel case and bead-blasted finish to give a decidedly 70s look. However, a couple of years down the line, Roue have turned back the clock by about 10 years to the 1960s, the most dangerous period of motor racing. Derived from the French term for a wheel, this brand has always had a strong automotive feel, and this particular piece bears the Porsche 910 on its caseback. Produced from 1966 to 1967, the 910 was a lighter and smaller version of Porsche's last road-legal racing car, the 906 or Carrera 6. As such, the choice of this represents a time when road and race were one, something at the heart of a watch both utilitarian and rather stylish. With their new TPS chronograph, a more complex approach is taken to the case, dial and movement. The concept of this watch is to incorporate several key functions into an interesting but comfortable package: the chronograph, the tachometer and the pulsometer. Before I begin this video, like, share and subscribe to see more here on the channel, and also take a look at Watch Chronicler's Instagram page for daily watch-related photos and videos. Also, remember to head over to watchchronicler.com to see our online magazine and other reviews, dedicated podcasts, and a historical feature about Hoyer and the racing world in the 60s and 70s. Normally I would present neither the price nor the packaging of a watch in the first instance, but here the packaging of a $290 watch says an awful lot. First, we're presented with a matte rubberized box which conceals a soft watch roll, which not only protects the watch paperwork, spare strap, and polishing cloth, but also avoids the inevitable watch-related clutter that's usually associated with buying a new timepiece. The case of this watch is a marked progression from earlier models, with a more complex appearance. The diameter is 40mm, with a lug-to-lug length of 48mm. This makes the watch feel smaller than its predecessor, yet the large and narrow polished bezel actually help the watch to catch the eye more readily. The case thickness is 13.4mm, which isn't small, although about a quarter of this height is the crystal, and thanks to a domed caseback you lose another millimetre of the watch into your wrist, rendering it actually very wearable with a tight cuff. The finishing of the watch really is superb, and brings me back to the reason why this watch makes me smile. The concentric brushing on the lugs, and along the side of the case, has a clarity and grain usually seen only on much more expensive timepieces. The polished bezel and bevels down the sides of the case are executed with care and catch the light extremely well. Curiously, it's the small details which are the most interesting, such as the broad brushed lug tips and the large polished pushes which are extremely easily pressed. The crown's another detail which combines practicality with a unique design. Where more affordable watches tend to have generic crowns, this slightly curved, divergently conical crown not only gives an elegant appearance, but also allows the crown to be easily manipulated despite the size of the pushers. The caseback is dominated by the large embossed depiction of the aforementioned Porsche 910, but is actually remarkably complex. It's surrounded by an area of bead-blasted steel and a raised ring which is brushed. Of course, this may seem rather trivial on a watch, but for a watch of this price, it's very rare to see the incorporation of these three finishes on the caseback. Where information is concerned, we're shown that this is one of a limited edition of 1,000 uniquely numbered pieces, and that the movement is a mecha quartz affair. My only complaint here is not an aesthetic one, but rather that due to the Porsche 910 protruding from the caseback, the watch doesn't lie flat when put down on a flat surface. In the past, this brand has used Miyota quartz chronographs which give a similar smooth tick to mechanical ones, but reset over several seconds as the second hand has to glide back to zero. However, for this new watch, the VK63 movement from Seiko has been used. Formerly used in the Autodromo Prototipo, this Seiko movement uses a more utilitarian version of technology which was made famous by JLC's quartz-powered and regulated mechanical chronographs. These movements were very famously used by IWC's pilot's watches, and whilst relatively unsuccessful, demonstrated that a quartz-powered watch could have the levers and hammers which give the feel of a mechanical chronograph, and that functionality which we expect. In the case of this Seiko movement, we have a conventional battery-powered quartz movement which offers accuracy and durability with a 3-year battery life. Built into this quartz movement, however, is a mechanical module which allows the chronograph hands to tick smoothly rather than in 1-second increments. The hands also reset instantly rather than rotating around the dial, and the lower pusher will reset the chronograph in a single push. The functions displayed are the time with small seconds at 6 o'clock, and the 24 hours displayed on the subdial at 3. With a chronograph which times up to an hour, the subdial at 9 o'clock counts the full 60 minutes, and the central second hand counts the seconds. However, the way in which this is conveyed on this model is rather interesting, as amongst all the details of this watch, the dial is perhaps the most arresting part. Above it is a heavily domed mineral crystal with an external sapphire coating. This should give it the same long-term durability as sapphire when used in all but the most abrasive of environments. Of course, sapphire would have been preferable, but frankly for this price the choice would have to be made between a flat crystal or a mineral crystal, and in this case they chose the heavily domed crystal instead, which I think was a wise choice considering the design of this watch. On the plus side, it is furnished with an internal anti-reflective coating in order to help legibility. Quite frankly though, the crystal won't be the focal point, as the dial is the true star. Composed of 3 levels, the dial is available in 3 variants: a black version, a panda black and white version, and my personal favourite, the blue model. This version almost completely drops the dominant orange on the other 2 models, and replaces it with yellow. The main surface of the dial is painted a matte blue-grey, whilst the upper right-hand corner is silver due to the display. On this section is printed the Roue logo, the Swiss superluminova plots, as well as a tachymeter and pulsometer. Note the little streaks of orange which remind one of dials seen on racing cars, or the gorgeous font chosen for the Roue logo. Here the luminescence could be better, but I think that larger lume plots may have removed balance from the dial, and so I can see why they kept them so small. Raised above this level is a silver ring for the seconds, and below are recessed the subdials. These feature concentric rings to catch the light, and a stepped edge for the 24-hour counter to display the day and night during a 24-hour endurance race. I must admit that I would have preferred a 24-hour counter linked to the chronograph in order to actually time a 24-hour race. However, considering the choice of movement, I understand this was an impossibility, and the mere presence of this feature is lovely to see at this price range. The hands are extremely well mated to the design, with squared hands with luminous tips. These are very different in length, and thanks to the white paint and the central grey stripe, they are actually very legible despite the fact that they're quite stylised. I really do like the way the functions are picked out in yellow, and the centres of the subdial hands are painted in dark blue, which shows an attention to detail which you just wouldn't expect. The quality across the dial really is staggering for this particular price, and displays no flaw under close examination. In truth, this is central to the appeal of this watch for me, because for some other brands offering the same movement, and I won't mention any names, the movement defines the price range of the watch as an inferior product to, for example, a mechanical chronograph. So you get the sense that because this watch uses a quartz movement, it has to be relatively cheaply made. Instead, Roue have recognised that this movement gives a feel of a mechanical chronograph, and taken this as a reason to give the rest of the watch a similar premium feeling, which you wouldn't expect for the same price, which is something which I appreciate. Of course, I could say that I'd prefer a Seagull column wheel manually wound chronograph for this price, but to be honest, I don't. This movement allows the watch to be slim, reliable and serviceable for years to come, where equivalent mechanical chronographs for this particular price, or even in this sort of ballpark, tend to be very unreliable. Worn on my 7-inch wrist on either the extremely supple rubber strap, or the matching leather rally strap which is included in the package, this is an extremely comfortable watch. The lugs don't curve very much, but nonetheless the light weight of the watch makes it a pleasure to wear. It also fits easily under most cuffs, though the design balances sportiness with elegance very effectively. The included straps are very well conceived to be comfortable, from their buckles which are very elegant, to the way the holes are angled to follow the tang and to prevent the strap from riding up and preventing a cuff from going over the watch, which is something often ignored with rubber straps. And both straps are good quality, although I must say I have enjoyed wearing the silicone strap because it is just so supple and comfortable to wear. All in all, the result is as stunning as it is different, whether it's the lugs which resemble the wings of a 1960s wheel nut, or the gauge-like second hand. This watch is wonderfully observed and very, very well executed for the price. If you enjoyed this content, do please like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And also leave your comments down below about what you think of this watch, and what you think is the best affordable racing chronograph. Thank you very much for watching. This is Armand from WatchChronicle.com. Out.